Thank you for following the love story between Anna, a professional dancer, and John, a very prestigious photographer in New York City. In this video, I will be talking about the Anna's love story, but also how she achieves emotional growth and personal acceptance through forgiveness of a past that haunts her. With nothing more to say, let's start the chapter number 2 of this love story between a beautiful black woman and a handsome white man. For some reason, moment after I finished my conversation with Linda on the phone, one of the things she told me about my situation with John, the professional photographer, who works at a fashion magazine in Midtown Manhattan, who asked me, moment after I finished auditioning as a dancer in a Broadway musical, if I was interested in trying out in the world of modeling. After telling Linda about that first meeting with John, she told me, with a shocked expression on Linda's face, "Anna, I think you're in love with John and you don't know it yet." It was something Linda told me, which shocked me a bit. But, how can I be in love with a man I don't really know? And especially a white man with a certain economic level. With a smile on my face, I said to myself, unless I believe in love at first sight. I don't think so, but many times the woman does not know what her heart really wants. Which could be my case. When I was thinking about my romantic situation, as a result of the conversation with Linda on the phone, but also about what I should do to improve my financial situation, I suddenly heard someone knock on the door. Who will it be at this time? A question that comes up when you don't want anyone's company. Taking my time, I open the door and see the figure of the man I detect and hate all the time. Someone I least wanted to see at that moment. "Jimmy, what do you want?" Trying to know how my favorite neighbor is doing. That was his reply with a certain irony on his face. "Anna, I heard you have problems paying your rent of the apartment." "Jimmy, as far as I know, that's not your problem." "Don't say that, Anna. The work proposals are still valid." "Jimmy, I told you that I am not interested in that type of job proposal. Serving in a cabaret and treating clients with affection. I have told you many times that I am not that type of woman. Don't tell me that, Anna. You know I do it to help the daughter of a friend of mine." Jimmy's reply with a certain smile on his face. "Jimmy, why are you always making this kind of indecent proposition? Anna, don't be naive, you know the story between me and your mom. One thing is my mom and another thing is me," was my answer to Jimmy. That is what many say, but almost always the daughter ends up having the same path of the mother. What are you telling me, Jimmy? This building is part of a neighborhood, where you can predict the future of the daughters knowing their mother's past. All the women of this type of neighborhood only do 3 things. Number 1, is to live off a man. Number 2, they depend on the government, and third, they end up being a drug addict or prostitute. Like your mother's case. In a fit of rage, I raised my right hands to slap Jimmy, but he stopped me, using the strength of his hand. He approached me with a look of contempt in his eyes. In this neighborhood the daughters always end up making the mistakes of their mother. It is something that you should remember. When you have to move out of this apartment, apparently because you don't have the money to pay the rent. For a black woman like you, the streets are difficult no matter if you are a theater dancer. As the daughter of a drunk father and a drug-addicted mother, what are the chances that you don't end up like one of them? You, as a beautiful, attractive black woman, with that talent that you inherit from your mother, instead of dancing for an audience that is not paying your rent, I would recommend that you dance at a cabaret table, entertaining the men for a tip. Money which, you can use to continue paying for your mother's drug addictions and your father's alcoholism." Expressions that Jimmy said, with a certain assurance on his face that this would be my future. But worst of all, Jimmy was right about the kind of life my parents chose. When you have to move out of this apartment, and you don't want to sleep on the streets, if you want to earn in a week what you haven't earned in 2 months, you know where to find me. My dear Anna, you can be sure that I have several clients, who would give any sum of money to spend a night with a woman like you. Especially a woman, who knows how to move her body, to excite men by dancing to the rhythm of music, producing movements that drive customers crazy, a black woman who knows how to move her ass. Don't even think about it, Jimmy. I've told you many times that I'm not that kind of woman. Anna, that was the same answer your mother gave me, and then look where she ended up. With enormous effort on my part, I pushed Jimmy, and I slammed the door in his face. But an expression that Jimmy told me, that put me to think at that moment, apart from all the problems that I have. The daughters in this neighborhood end up doing what their mother did. What Jimmy mean by that? After hearing what Jimmy told me, I have to talk to my mother, to find out what happened in the past between her and Jimmy. I'd better call my mother on the phone to find out, what really happened between her and Jimmy. Something happens here, that my mother is hiding from me. Hello mother. How are you? Hi Anna, I was thinking about you right now. How was your audition for the job on the musical play? I'm waiting for them to call me to find out, if I got the job. But, that wasn't the reason I called you, mother. Jimmy was visiting me a moment ago. That is why, I am calling you. Anna, don't listen to that drug dealer, everything he tells you is a lie. Mother, how well do you know Jimmy? How involved were you with him in the past? Anna, something you must understand. I met Jimmy through your father, who were doing the same. Mother, did you ever buy drugs from Jimmy? Anna, why do you want to talk about this topic? Those things from the past should stay in the past. Begging my mother for an answer, I replied to her, Mother, I am no longer a little girl. Mother, please answer the question. When you were addicted to drugs, was Jimmy the one who sold you the drugs? Anna, why do you keep insisting on a dark part of my life that I want to forget? Mother, did you ever owe Jimmy money for the drug purchase? Sometimes, but mostly I used the money your father gave me, to put food on the table and pay all the bills. Mother, I don't want you to tell me a lie. Have you ever sold your body to buy drugs? Anna, I did a lot of stupid things to pay for the drug habit, and sleeping with some clients recommended by Jimmy was something I did. Promiscuous behavior on my part, which I regret, because your father did not deserve that from me and everything to pay for my drug addiction. When he found out that I was cheating on him with other men, it was something that hurt him a lot. That was the reason why my father, when he was drunk, would hit you. I asked my mother. No, Anna, your father used to beat me and verbally abuse me, long before he met Jimmy. Long before I fell into the addiction of drugs. Mother, why did you use drugs? Now that I think about it, the beatings of your father is one of the reasons, which led me to fall into that addiction to drugs. As a way to forget the verbal and physical abuse, I locked myself in the world of drugs so as not to face reality. Mother, why didn't you divorce my father when the abuse started? Many times, I felt responsible for what was happening to me. For some reason, Anna, there was a feeling in me that everything was my fault. When your father hit me, I felt that I deserved it for not being a good wife, much less a good mother. As a woman, I felt that I was worthless. Mother, when Jimmy told me the expression, that the daughter always ends up having the same life as the mother, what is she trying to say by that? Look, this neighborhood full of poverty, crime, drug sales, homeless people, single mother as head of family with 3 and 4 children, and young people, who drop out of school, that tells you that many of us will never get out of the situation in which we grew up. Maybe, that's why I'm glad when I found out that you got a scholarship, to study that profession that you liked so much at school. Mother, there is a question that I have always wanted to ask you, but I have never had the courage. And perhaps through the phone you can give me the answer without having to look at my face. Mother, why did you never believe me when I told you that my father was touching me inappropriate some nights? When he was drunk or you are high? Anna, please don't talk about that subject so painful for you. However, also for me as a mother, who did not know how to protect you from a bad father, who sometimes touched her daughter inappropriately. Anna, is a bad behavior for which I will be sorry, for leaving a man to abuse an innocent girl like you, and all because of me for always being drugged. I was very afraid of your father, and I was reluctant to believe that a father could abuse his daughter in an inhuman and heartless way. Mother, I still don't understand how a father can sexually touch his teenage daughter when she was sleeping. Many times, I pretended that I was asleep when my father touched me at night, so as not to provoke his anger. That is why many times, I was afraid whenever I was in the presence of my father. Anna, my dear daughter, there is something I must tell you, a secret that I have kept since the day you were born. What is, mother? A secret that will change your life forever, and I don't know if you are ready for that. Whatever that secret is, I can handle it. That man who touched you inappropriately every night, that man who verbally abused me, that man who hit for no reason. I can see that, my mother, for a moment, I know inside her thoughts, as if deciding if she told me about that secret that would change my life forever. Anna, that man who touched you inappropriately wasn't really your biological father. When I heard that from my mother, my heart fell into an abyss and my mind was completely clouded. I stopped feeling, listening, I couldn't move, as if time had stopped at that moment. Anna, when I met your father, you were already several months old and he was in charge of paying the expenses of the house, but also the expenses of your upbringing. Mother, what are you telling me? That man I called father was not really my father. Maybe that's why he didn't feel any kind of remorse every time he touched your body. Mother, why are you telling me that right now? Because, I saw in your eyes that you loved him as if he were your real father. Anna, as a mother, I love you very much. I did not have the right to steal that happiness from you. That is why I remained silent all these years, until you were mature enough to know who your real father was. Mother, then who is my real father? Your father was a street criminal, drug dealer, thief and robber who died in a shooting months before you were born, facing another criminal gang. Anna, he never knew of your existence, but he couldn't meet his daughter either. Believe me, Anna, if the opposing gang had known of your existence, you would not be alive right now. That's why I kept your biological father's name hidden until now. Even your adoptive father knew his name. Anna, I really hope you forgive me for all the harm I have caused you up to this point. Please, Anna, forgive me for not being a good mother. For some reasons, when I heard my mother's secret about who my real father was, at that moment, I felt as if nothing important had happened in my life. I did not know what to say, what to feel. It was as if something had died in me, and something new was emerging from such emotion. It was as if I had stopped in time waiting for the correct answer, as well as the correct emotion. As if it were an internal explosion, I could feel the indiscriminate rush of emotions that I felt at that moment. If the story of my mother and her complicated relationship with Jimmy, and the things she did to keep her using drugs. I think I understand the verbal and physical abuse of my stepfather on my mother, but, also why, my stepfather touched my body as an innocent child, in a way that made me nauseous and scared at the same time. But, above all, ashamed of what was happening to me. Sometimes, I asked myself, what I did wrong for my father to treat me that way. Maybe that's why, I can now understand my reluctance to have a romantic relationship with a man. My father taught me, not to trust men. My mother taught me, not to trust people, who say they love you. Right now confusion is part of my life, and I really don't know what to do. Honestly at this moment, I wish to cease to exist. I don't trust my father, but neither do I trust my mother, much less the people around me. My mother's story made me feel insignificant, damaged, someone who was worthless. Throughout the night, I could not sleep, thinking every moment of my mother's words, and everything she revealed to me about her life, about my biological father, every time my father touched my body as an innocent girl, but also Jimmy's expressions, when he told me, daughters always end up following their mother's path. What Jimmy was saying, that I was born to be a prostitute, a drug addicted or a physically and verbally abused woman. I refused to accept that reality as a woman. Product that could not sleep, I woke up later than usual with a tremendous headache, but, also with a huge weight on my chest. In all the emotions of the night before, they were repressed within me, but I could feel each one of them and the effect they were producing in my soul, my heart, but also in my mental state. I did not know how to yell, cry, get angry or feel sad. What I feel was slowly killing me. I grab my bag and get off the elevator and catch the train via downtown. Sitting on the train, nothing made sense to me of everything that was happening to me. Walking like a living dead in the streets of Manhattan, when you feel nothing around you. I remembered the card that John the photographer had given me, if I had any interest in being a model. I simply needed to talk to someone who would listen to me, no matter if I was known or unknown, but I needed to get rid of that indiscriminate feeling of anguish that was killing me at that moment. I arrived at John's photography studio, looking for a sense of direction, when I sat in front of John's assistant. I asked her if John could attend me that day. I showed the receptionist the card that John had given me the day before. Let me ask him if he has time for you. While waiting for John, I began to look at all the photographs of beautiful models, which were photographed by John's camera. After seeing those photographs of those fashion models, I felt much more insignificant as a woman. Suddenly, John came out and greeted with a friendly greeting. Hello Anna, how are you? Very good, thanks for having me, without an appointment. I am very pleased that you have come, give me a few minutes and I will be with you. While I was sitting in the waiting room, all the thoughts of the previous night, they kept repeating, clouding my mind. Each of the emotions getting stronger and stronger, with a great desire to cry. Inside me, an uncontrollable force was trying to get out. I had no more strength to stop it. I have to let out of all those repressed emotions that were killing me inside. But, I didn't want to disappoint John, not at that time. Suddenly, I got up from the chair and headed out exploding with fear, sadness and shame at the same time. I listened to the plea of John's assistant, asked what was wrong with me. If I needed any kind of help. John will be with you soon, young lady. Please wait a moment. I ran out of the study, without looking back, in silence. I crossed the street, without looking at the traffic. I entered the train platform, with a distant look. While I was waiting for the train, the image of my father touching my body, feeling violated every time he touched me as an innocent child. Those images came over again, uncontrollably. I wanted to die in that moment of shame, fear, anger and that feeling of being worth nothing. I heard the sound of the train arriving, suddenly, hear John's voice calling me, Anna, Anna, wait. As the train approached, I stopped on the yellow line in an uncontrolled impulse. I leaned towards the train rails as if I expected to end my life at that moment. I was senseless, that voice kept repeating the same thing, like a hammer over and over again, as if controlled by something superior to me, a force that told me I was worthless. When I lean into the final act, to throw myself in front of the oncoming train. One hand touched my waist, pulling me away from the train, while I resisted, but it was stronger than me. Then, I listened to the voice of John, who said aloud to me, "Anna, your life is worth living." At that moment, each of my uncontrollable emotions and thoughts that haunted me moved away. I was able to express with a loud cry, everything that I felt inside. In the arms of John, a photographer unknown to me, let out all those feelings, which until now, were controlling my life. Anguish was replaced by security. Sadness was replaced by relief. Hatred was replaced by hope. Loneliness was replaced by love. Between tears and a feeling of security, John and I left the train station, a place where my life could have ended. If you got to this part of the story, thank you so much. This is the end of chapter number 2, the love story between Anna and John. Anna's love story, but also about emotional growth and personal acceptance through forgiveness. I am very sorry that this emotional drama ended that way. I hope in the near future to publish the final conclusion about this love story, between Anna, a beautiful black woman, and John, a handsome white man. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this kind of emotional drama, please like it and subscribe to this channel.